the dash for Frasch. Dust on the cleats, hearts beat fast. Every girl chasing that sulphur turf. Lights burn bright, no turning back. We're running full speed. Dash for Frasch. Bows in the hair and dirt on the knees. Pitcher winding up, bringing that heat. Coach at third, throwing signs in the wind. Crowd leaning forward, here we go again. Long ball flying over left field wall. Teammates rushing as she rounds them all. Dreams get bigger with every game. Louisiana softball, remember the name. It's the dash for Frasch, hear the crowd get loud. Small town diamonds make Louisiana proud. From the north to the coast, every back cracks fast. 4, 4, 6, it's the dash for Frasch. Dust on the cleats, hearts beat fast. Every girl chasing that sulphur turf. Lights burn bright, no turning back. We're running full speed. Dash for Frasch. Parents in lawn chair, crowd in the air. Scoreboards glowing everywhere. From back road towns to the big time stage. Louisiana softball, turn the page. 4, 4, 6, we bring it alive. Every pitch, every swing, every dive. History made on the Friday night flash. It's all roads lead to Dash for Frasch. Hey, it's the dash for Frasch. Hear the crowd get loud. Pelican stage standing tall and proud. Dreams take flight when the bats swing fast. 4, 4, 6, it's the dash for Frasch. Dust on the cleats, parents in lawn chairs. Scoreboards glowing everywhere. Louisiana softball, here we crash. We're running full speed. We're chasing that dream. We're headed to Sulphur.
And happy Frasch Sulphur Championship Eve. It got pushed back a little bit, but that's okay. I'm your host, Doug Gann, with 446 Sports and the Pelican Softball Report, and we are here. It is that time, although it's not quite that time. We got delayed just a little bit. Great show for you tonight. Not going to get as in-depth as you might want tonight. We like to do that the night before when the folks are down there in Sulphur. So we're going to talk to some of them down there tomorrow night since it got pushed back a little bit. But all of the games, as you know, now are on Saturday and Sunday. That's the big news. That affected the Red River Athletic Conference. It affected some baseball today. More rain in the forecast tomorrow. As a matter of fact, a lot more rain in the forecast. But one thing that we can forecast is got a lot of wisdom coming for you from this show, and it's not necessarily from me. We're going to bring in my buddy from KALB, Harrison Vapnek, and Harrison joins us. What's going on, my friend?
I'm good. I really enjoyed the hype song or the intro song. I didn't realize you have a record label.
Look, nothing is off the table, my friend.
It's an exciting time though. This is a fun week. Wish we could have got a little sooner. But a lot of teams from especially our area. I know you're based around here that are looking to win a championship. I don't think there's a sport in this area more consistent over the last maybe decade or so with championship success like softball. So this is always a lot of fun.
No, it's absolutely. And that's been historic through the times going back, the 80s and 90s. I just remember, 4 years in a row in baseball, 2 from Tioga, 2 from Ash, that they won baseball state championships. And Harrison says, well, that was before I was born. So it's still okay. But no, it is a great time around here. And look, this year is no different. We've got some teams that are making their way out there. As you heard, we're going to just have a 30,000-foot view tonight of things. You still have an opportunity for your comments. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, throw a comment down there. We'll do our best to get to it. If you've got a question for us, hey, if you've got a gripe about something Harrison may have picked earlier, you can talk about that too on there. Harrison,
I have to be careful. I heard some of the things people were saying about you after when we did the home and home.
Look, they love you. That's exactly what it is. They love you till they don't. I like the setup behind your wall there.
This is the home office podcast setup. We like to. It always is intriguing to the people watching. So I like to keep it fresh.
Well, ours is still a little bit more up here, but next week we'll be in our new home. Next week we're shutting down the home office, we're shutting down our smaller office, and we're moving into a new one. So stay tuned for our first ever podcast broadcast from there, and that'll be next week when we'll talk about all of these champions. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and drop in and talk about some things this year, maybe Harrison, that throughout the year surprised you about right now and where we're at.
I think diving into these teams who from our area, I think these Class B teams, I'm a little excited about. Hicks and Anacoco, they played in a great district battle at the end of last season, and then I wasn't sure if those two teams would be as successful as they have been. 3 and 4 seed entering the state tournament, they protect their home field. Anacoco gets that revenge over Wally in the quarterfinals with their two LHCA All-Star selections and Emily D'Amico and Ava Davis, and even though with injury to their pitcher earlier in the year, Ruth Rodriguez doing a great job stepping up and getting Anacoco back to Sulphur for the 5th time in 7 years. And then with Hicks, a team, a lot of very young players. I think 1 senior, no juniors, a bunch of sophomores through all the way down to 7th grade, and just a lot of team camaraderie is the energy I get with them. And now they're 2 wins away from their first championship in near 40 years.
And look, you talk about that Hicks team. Cortland Ducey is a game away from a perfect game, I think, that she threw out there. She is slinging it as well as anybody is.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at their second round game against Oak Hill, and a little not shaky start. Oak Hill was up 3-0. Part of that was because of an error, and then the bats just immediately turned on, and Hicks going to win 17-3, and she was, I think, an error away from a perfect game in the quarters against Family Community. Comes close. And that team is riding a lot of confidence, and they're gonna have to play a very good Quitman team, the 2-time defending state champs in Sulphur, and they don't want to hear anything about playoff inexperience. They feel like they've had a ton of travel ball back in some of their younger days, younger than they are now, and they're a young team, and they think that's a valuable experience enough. You're gonna have to learn to play in Sulphur at some point, so why not now?
You bring up such a good point too. And this is what I've noticed and seen is that there are so many younger players contributing at a time that I've never seen before. And I directly lay that on all of those games they play over the summer. I mean, that's some competitive softball that's played year round.
Yep. And I think another team that we'll probably talk about is Pineville in terms of young players stepping up immediately. That's just been a trend. And, Landry Long, the pitcher for LaSalle, who we cover, was the championship MVP as a freshman last spring. And it's not just softball, baseball, like Gavin Holt at Pitkin. I know he's maybe a special case for how talented he and that family bloodline is, but championship MVP as a freshman with a ton of travel ball experience. So I think we're seeing more and more trend of it. Doesn't really matter if you're a senior or a 7th or 8th grader, that we can see that level of high success when it matters most.
Okay, so you talk about that now, and that's a competitive advantage that some of these teams have. Take Bunkie, for example. They've got an 8th grader starting in center field. They've got some younger players, and a lot of these teams can't get their players until they get on campus. All right, but you've got 7th grader starting for Hicks as the designated player. You've got the 8th grader starting all around. You're talking classes of 30 and 31 that are contributing to these things. And that's got to be a decided advantage when you've got somebody that can participate 6 years.
Yeah. And I think it matters. These girls have, especially in some of these smaller towns, like they've been playing together since they were 5 or 6 years old. So now that they're 16, 17 range, they have tons of experience playing together, that the experience card doesn't really matter. I think the only thing that is something we talked about, I guess, on Sunday is like playing in that kind of environment. I think that kind of matters. But in terms of team camaraderie and team chemistry, and you need to go through, quarterfinal and semifinal exits 3 times before you eventually win one. In some cases, sure, but time and time again, we see these young teams come out of nowhere. That's why I think LaSalle was able to do it last year. Why I think Hicks has a good chance of winning it this week, and especially in Pineville, who loses 8 seniors from last year, and they're going to return 9 out of 9 in their lineup next year too. So it's pretty crazy.
Hopefully we'll be able to talk to Coach Allison Fry tomorrow night. Want to do our in-depth show tomorrow night when we like to do a show from when the coaches are down there in Sulphur because they've got that feel on there. So tonight I want to look at some things. Oh, and we will be joined by Coach Lance Reine of Patrick Taylor. He'll join us after Harrison hops off. I know Harrison gave us a little bit of time here in this segment, but we'll be joined by Coach Lance Reine of Patrick Taylor here in a little bit. But one of the things that jumped out at me, and these seeds have never won, but you've got 4 big double-digit seeds. You've got a 10, 11, a 13, and a 14, one of those 13 being Simpson. So what do you think it is about these high seeds?
I think it's I'm just going to single out Simpson in Class C. I'm not going to go deep on those other double digits, but I think especially in Class C, where we saw last year Calvin as the 9 seed became the lowest seed to ever win a state championship as the 9. Now Simpson as the 13 can top that with 2 more wins. I think there's just a higher variance in Class C. I mean, not to single out, but their season is shorter because the girls who play basketball also almost entirely play softball. So they can't start those softball seasons until basketball season ends. So the season is shorter. They have less experience. But if you can kind of just get into the postseason and you have some talented players, like you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what Simpson has, or if it's Bella Honeycutt or Olivia Edwards or their pitcher Charlie, who has really stepped up, I think as an 8th grader, which is pretty crazy. If you're just getting hot at the right time and you're in the field, I don't think the number matters. And especially in some of these smaller classes where I think the talent is a little less like disparate. And Northside Christian is a really good team and a very deserving 1 seed, and Simpson will have their work cut out for them. But that's what they were saying when our sports team went over to Simpson on Mondays. Seeds don't matter at this point. Like, we're going down there to win 2 games, and it would be a crazy story to see a double-digit seed win the Class C championship after a 9 seed did it just 12 months ago.
But, you turn around and you look at, take March Madness, for example. You've had 16 beat 1s, and you never thought that there would be a 16 knockoff of number 1 in basketball, but it's happening on there too. And the chalk is not staying what it was. In fact, only 3 out of the 10 brackets did the top 4 seeds make it this year. And I think that's a glaring stat for anybody that says, you know what, there's an opportunity. One of those hits home, and that is with the 2nd-ranked Pineville Lady Rebels. And so as we talked about it, they've got the 3 teams out of New Orleans. What do you think about Pineville and what Coach Allison has been able to do when everybody thought, well, there's no way they'd be back here?
Man, last year's team, which was the first year I got to experience the full softball season, last year's team I thought was near unbeatable. Maybe that is a bit much, but they were just top to bottom, great hitting, defensively, pitching. I looked at that team and I'm like, I don't know how this team will lose in the playoffs. They didn't have a great 2nd round game, and then they just come short in their quarterfinal on their home field against Chappelle. Their team they're seeing again, didn't have much expectation for them going into the season. I know they were bringing a lot of young players, and we're like, okay, we'll see how it looks. And I mean, they have just come out. Annalise Holmes, Berkeley Burns, Briley Burns back from her injury, Ava Moore. It is just like top to bottom. And they are just as good as they were last year. And more importantly, Chelsea Simpson stepping up in the circle, a shutout against Tioga.
Oh, by the way, Jaden Basco, Kate Heron, Eddie Floyd and Wright, who just plays. I mean, it just over and over. You topping up and down that lineup, they're stacked.
Yeah, and I Jackson, Savannah Johnson, another one to name. It is just like so much talent, and that's what you need in Sulphur. You need a pinch runner, you need a pinch hitter. They're extremely well coached team with Coach Fry and Coach Scully and everyone on that staff, and they are very on top of it defensively as well. And I think that's their calling, is just great defensive softball. Incredible fielding percentage for them, and I think getting hot at the right time was important for this team. A really great last couple weeks of the regular season, including a win against Gina on Gina's home field in extra innings, and run rule against Captain Shreve, shutout of Tioga again in the quarterfinals, and now they're here. You can tell that as a team playing with confidence, and I think they're very up for the challenge heading into Saturday and Sunday.
Look, we're excited about it. D1 Select, which is what they're in. D3 Select, which is at 1 with Calvary, Parkview, Darbone Woods, and dadgummit, hang on. I'll tell you who that is. We've got a fancy little graphic for all of these. Let me tell you if that's the right one. No, that'd be too easy for that to be the right one. So pull that back down.
Pretty neat.
Out of there. Yeah, but it only works if I'm correct about it too. And I hate that I've forgotten, because I'm going to get hate mail around because I didn't have that. Notre Dame. How do I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Calvary, Notre Dame, Parkview, and Darbone Woods, and so 3 of the 10 are the only ones. You look up at Division I non-select, and the top 2 seeds are gone. You've got an 8 and a 5, and that's one of those double-digit seeds. Live Oak, who's going to play West Monroe in that one, and then you've got Hahnville, which is such an interesting story, and we'll dig into that a little bit more. But I know you follow a little bit of that. Do you think West Monroe with Ava and Evie West and those have a chance to do that as the highest remaining seed?
Sure. I mean, I think West Monroe is very talented. West Monroe is good at a lot of the sports. I mean, I can't say I've watched much of their softball team this year, but I know that they have a great athletic program up there. And again, once you get into Sulphur, anyone has a chance. I think that especially in that Division I non-select, like we saw in football with Ouachita Parish, their rival, make a run to the state championship. Doesn't matter at the seed number. So yeah, I think there's absolutely a chance that they can go to Sulphur and win it. That's another team who I think they played. I think they beat Pineville towards the end of the regular season. I may have that wrong.
They were the first one this season, the only one this season to beat Calvary as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So who is, I think, finished 35-1 on the season, and they're seeking their 6th straight. That's just hard to even imagine. Looking to be the 3rd team to win 6 straight is just phenomenal. So let's just we talked a little bit about the past of it too on here. If you had one thing that intrigues you the most about this weekend coming up, do you think it's the rain that affects things? Does that have any bearing on anybody?
I have a hot take. This is like a non-serious answer and a serious answer. I really enjoy the games on Sunday. I really enjoyed it last year, and I'm really looking forward to this year because I'm a big professional golf and tennis fan,
right?
And you think about those big tournaments, the Masters, the U.S. Open, Wimbledon. Those championships end on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And there is just something about getting up and that Sunday, there's an energy about and an urgency that it's you think of Tiger Woods at the Masters or the Sunday Red or Djokovic and Federer in Wimbledon. I don't know. It's just something about because we don't get games on Sunday. We cover small college and high school sports. There's no games on Sundays. But when we get a chance for it and it's a championship game, it is special. And so I'm looking forward to it. I think the only one it may affect is the teams who played their quarterfinals on Thursday of last week, who are getting 9 days between games, which is probably their longest stretch of the season.
Right.
And I'm not a huge proponent of rust. I think the better team should win anyways. I think because if both teams have rust, then it's equal. But I'll have to really go check who hasn't played since Thursday, even Friday, because 8-9 day break off without playing in a game environment. It's probably as long as they've gone since September, October. So that's the only thing I actually think it will matter if the extra day does impact.
Especially because they do play so much in a small, short season on there too.
Oh yeah.
Let's jump out of high school just for a second. I want to get your thoughts on that Red River Athletic Conference tournament. Only one game gets completed today. I don't know the following that you did on, but everything on that is pushed back to Saturday and Sunday. So you've got 6 games on Saturday now and 6 on Sunday, and their championships will be Monday. So this rain has caused a lot of chaos.
Yeah, LSUA, who's right in our backyard, had a great team, won their conference regular season. Bunch of players from this area on that team making an impact. And then LCU, I think, lost. We're down in their game.
They're down in the 6th inning with 2 outs. The only game that got completed, and this is how we tie all of this in, is that LSUA is the only game that's official today. They win 17-0 over Southwest, and Grace Christian's Riley Gio gets her 10th win of the season. So that's just great to see. You talk about girls from here that play in Frasch. She's got a state championship ring.
Yep. And she was a real good pitcher that got him back to Sulphur last year. Had them right on the brink of except they came up short to a really good equipment team and gave him a good fight. But yeah, that's an awesome success story, and hopefully that she can win a conference championship and maybe make a run at the national championship in a few weeks.
Look, they're working on that World Series without a doubt. Harrison, we're going to let you get out of here. We'll talk to you some more along the way. I know things will get going hot and heavy Saturday. It's going to be a long day down there Saturday and Sunday, but you're right. There's something about Championship Sunday.
Appreciate you, Doug. We'll catch up with you soon.
You got it. Harrison Vapnek, KALB Sports Director, joining us on here. It's been our pleasure, my friend.
Yep.
So there you go. Harrison Vapnek joining us on there too. We've got Coach Lance Reine of Patrick Taylor that's going to join us here momentarily. But before we do, we want to talk about, again, we told you rain has caused the chaos. It just washed out the Ash and Brother Martin baseball game. There may be some others that it's done that too as well. Don't have information on that, but we do know that Ash and Brother Martin are scheduled to get going tomorrow at 3:30. We'll see what Mother Nature has to say about that. Also, it may be a long one Saturday and Sunday for everybody in Louisiana. But we talked about some of those seeds and some of those different teams and some of those that are heading down. And we want to bring in the head coach of the Tigers, of Patrick Taylor, right now. Seen him on the show one time before, but head coach Lance Reine joins us. Coach, welcome.
Because he hasn't added you yet. Well, I'm on camera.
Yes, you're on camera now.
He has not added you yet.
Can you hear me?
Just give it a second.
Can you hear me, Coach? Coach?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna text you and have you log out. Well, there's nothing like live TV here. There you go. We'll get that set up here in just a moment and get him back over here. But want to take a look at a couple of things. We told you there are 4 double-digit seeds. It is Live Oak, number 10. They will face number 3, West Monroe. Grand Lake, number 11, Simpson, one of our local teams. And I can't do a show without my puppy dog. She always sits up here and visits with us too. So let's see what we have. Yeah, look, that's right. Don't worry, Cam, we're going to get that on in just a moment for you too. We'll get that message up there. Let's see if we can get him on here. We'll save that message. Coach, can you hear us now?
Gotcha. Perfect, man.
All right, look, you're the star of the show already because we've not had anybody comment on what it is, and then we jump in and get there. So, look, you can't be fun at the old ball game. So, Coach, we've talked before. Tremendous season having down there at Patrick Taylor. Big win as the 5 seed. That 5-4 matchup is always a tough one. You got a great performance out of your team, including senior pitcher Aston Rogers. But take me around that game and what it meant to Patrick Taylor.
Man, that game was it was really, really special. The crowd was unbelievable at St. Charles. They brought a huge crowd. Patrick Taylor people came out in huge numbers. I mean, there was people lined up down both baselines. It was really impressive. I've never coached in a game with that many fans. I wouldn't even know what to guess on the number, but extremely exciting game. Very intense all the way through, and it's meant a lot. It's the first time we've ever won in that round, and we all knew what it meant, and it was just that it was a really like an indescribable joy when we finally won and made that last out.
So one of the questions or one of the comments that we had a little bit earlier was this rest in here now and that extra day off. When was that game? What was the date of that game?
That was actually on Saturday. So, we had a long break in between our first game, which second round game. And then that game, as we played on Monday and then didn't play again until Saturday. Right. The rest isn't really a big issue for us. It's actually been beneficial for us pitching wise. We've been able to stay pretty sharp with our bats, just cranking up the pitching machines and getting after it at practice. But it's been a big help for us actually to have the extra days in between. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man, the extra day here was really a blessing because it was really difficult to get all this stuff planned. So the extra day really helped us out a lot.
So you went ahead and went down. Are you in Sulphur now?
No, we're not. We decided to hold off, and we're gonna leave tomorrow. So just like the tournament pushed everything a day back, we just decided to push everything one day back.
Look, I love that too. You get down there. I don't know of anybody that has made it down there already because it is tough to go, especially when you don't have an opportunity to do anything, because tomorrow's supposed to be rain all day. So you'd have folks just sitting in their hotel rooms, and I think that'd be worse on them than anything.
Right. So the email we received said that all practices were canceled for tomorrow. If they got there today, they should be able to practice if the weather didn't get them. But all everything was canceled for tomorrow. I know a couple of teams I saw had left. I know I saw Hahnville had left today, and I saw
Right.
Mount Carmel left today locally. So they have a plan, I'm sure. I know there's a lot of high schools out in the area, maybe an indoor facility, something like that they may have worked out to use. Which, I mean, if you have the ability to get out there, that's great. For us, it just felt like a really long time to be out there. If we decide to leave on Thursday, and then you potentially there all the way into Sunday evening. So I mean, we just felt like it was a long time, and felt like it was better for us to just sit tight and just push everything back one day.
Look, I love that. So, what has this week been like? Because we talked about you. I don't see that softball is able to, or maybe you can correct me on that too. But baseball will go in and throw in an exhibition, and I know some teams did that earlier in softball. Did you have anything like that?
No, we had a few people that reached out and asked, if we were interested, and I just really didn't want to. I didn't feel it was necessary for us. Like I said, um, with Ashton, we've kind of, the rest has been beneficial to her, and so we just felt like doing our thing, and not really worrying about a scrimmage, not really trying to force anything. The rest was good for us. We played a lot of games. 33 is a lot, and we played them really fast, and 5-6 games a week. We were a little beat up, a little bit run down, so I think it was a good thing to get a couple of weeks in there where we just played 1 or 2 games. So we just didn't feel like it was necessary. I know some teams just want to keep in that groove, and I get that, but we just felt like we could work hard enough at practice to stay sharp.
What's practice been like for you guys? Is it just getting back to the basics? Is it kind of like that fall practice, or what are you going through in these few days?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like we decided, Coach Cam Goodman and I, we kind of talked about it, and we just wanted to keep everything as normal as possible. We've done a good job of having a good routine at practice. We go through a lot of the same things, and go through things over and over and over again, and we just feel like it keeps us sharp. We have a routine that's worked all season, so why change it now? We didn't do anything extra. We didn't call these, double practices or long practices or anything like that. We just
No
wanted the
two a
girls to
days, huh?
feel. I'm, I'm sorry.
No two a days.
No 2 a days this week. Nothing like that. We just decided to keep everything normal, stay on our schedule. The only thing we did different is we went to an indoor facility a couple times this week. Just We did it last week because of field availability, and I said, you know what, it worked for us last week. Let's do it again. And then we did that yesterday, thinking it was going to be our last practice, and then everything gets pushed back, so we added one today. So that was really the only thing different. We went to a little bit different place and did some indoor work, and really got after it hitting. And but our practice week has been very similar to what we've done all season.
Look, and you talked a little bit earlier about the rest being good for you too on there, and talking about Ashton, and I want to talk about her a little bit too, and her routine, because she's used to throwing a lot of innings and a lot of pitches during the week. How has the rest been for her, and how's her mindset? Because she seems like the ultimate competitor, and she would just as soon go out and throw 20 innings tonight, I'm sure.
She would. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, you know uh, that Hahnville game, the 16 inning game, was unbelievable. It's incredible. It's all those things, but at the same time, it was really difficult for her physically. So then she bounces right back a week later. We throw again, and she knows. She's got the circle in these playoff games and everything else. So she's a competitor, but she also understands what she needs to do, how she needs to pitch, when she needs to pitch, just to stay sharp. So I mean, she's doing her work on the side. Ashton's the easiest player you could possibly have on your team. She knows exactly what she needs to do to be at her peak when it's game time. So I don't worry about her. I don't worry about rust with her. She'll be ready. There's no question about it. I watched her throw a session today, and she looked fantastic. So I know she'll be ready.
Look, I love it. So a lot of these things that we're seeing from teams are these big send offs. I know how the atmosphere down there is on the West Bank. So, see, and I even know where it's at now too. That I didn't
That's
know
right.
earlier too. I'm feeling it. What's it like down there? Everybody loading up. Are they going to shut the lights off when the last person leaves, or how's that going?
Man, we're gonna have a crowd. I know that. There's no question in my mind. We're gonna have a huge crowd in Sulphur, but the send off is something we're really excited about tomorrow. We've been look. It's after we beat St. Charles. I was walking out the park, and the last person that I saw walking out the park was Scott O'Brien from Chappelle, and he congratulated me, gave me a big hug. We've known each other for a long time, and he said, "Coach, congratulations, but you're about to get into a logistical nightmare." And he wasn't lying. I texted him today about it. The planning of all of this stuff is a lot. It's difficult. I'm a non-faculty coach, so I have other things going on to try to get away from work and everything else. But it's a lot of planning that goes into it. But our moms really got together. Our school got together. Everybody's got it all. We've got a big send off coming. We had tons and tons of elected officials and businesses and people just you know offering donations and offering to do things for the girls and gifts and all kinds of just it's been great, and I just can't wait for tomorrow for them to have that moment to walk out of the gym, walk through school, have all their classmates cheering them on and see all of that. And that was one thing when I got to Taylor. I told them we were going to make Patrick Taylor softball feel big and feel special. And I mean, how much bigger and how much more special can something like that be?
Look, I just those are the memories. Those are the things they'll remember the games. There's no doubt about it. But that walk down to get on the bus, they'll remember more than anything. You brought up Coach Scott O'Brien at Chappelle. Tremendous, tremendous guy. He ought to be one that you could lean on of things to do. He's a mainstay down in Sulphur. Has he
Yeah,
given you tips on where to go?
he's definitely figured out how to get there. I think that I don't know, they're 5-6 years in a row, something like that down there. It's really impressive what they've done. But yeah, I mean, I've done that a lot this week. Talk to different coaches and different teams of that make the trip on a regular basis. What do they do? What does their itinerary look like? Things like that. We've had some parents reach out to other parents and talk about hotels, and it's been a big group effort. I was an assistant coach at Thomas Jefferson when we made it there in 2021. So I've been there, but I didn't have the burden of all the planning. So, I kind of have an idea of what to expect, but the planning part of it, it definitely will take you off guard your first time through, man. It's a challenge for sure, but it's what we're playing for is to make this trip. And so that's what we've done all this work, all these months, and all these games and all these practices has been for this moment. So it's all worth it, no doubt.
I don't think you'd trade any of that for the
No.
contrary to this and say, you know what? At least I've got no stress. I don't have to make these plans. I don't think that's an option at all.
No, definitely not. We were tired of losing in the quarterfinals for sure. It was just one of those things. The school had been there. This year made the fourth year straight. So last year we were there, and we felt really close. We just wasn't quite good enough last year. When we fell a little short, and we fell to Edie White, who was back in it again. I mean, they're one of the best teams in the state. So I mean, there was no shame in losing that game. The years before, they lost to Notre Dame and Calvary. Obviously, there's no shame in losing those games, but we just went into this year saying, we're tired of bumping our head on that ceiling of the quarterfinals. We're going to break through, and so I believe Ashton said it on your show a while back. Why not us? And we put that on the back of our shirts. I got one for you, man. When we
I
get up
love
to
it.
Sulphur, I got a shirt for you. It says Sulphur Bound with our Taylor logo, and on the back of it, it says, "Why not us?" There's no rule that says you have to go so many times before you can win out there. So why not? We're up there and we've got as good a shot as anybody.
That's such an interesting point on it too. Everybody that rolls into Sulphur this weekend is 0-0. I
That's
mean,
right.
you've got a 2-game season and you've got to survive and advance and you've got to get there. And Edie White and that group has to do the same thing. Vanderbilt Catholic, all of these teams have to do the same thing as you guys do. Nobody is coming into this with any advantage on there. Now, the home and away, that type of thing is what it is, but you're all there 0-0. Records don't mean anything at this point.
That's right. And all season long, we've broken our schedule down into different parts. So like, the beginning of the season, we had our first 10 games. We played 10 games in 10 days. And I
Right.
told the girls, like, look, that's season number one. And then we had a section after that where we felt like, we should win a whole bunch of games in a row here. It's all winnable games, and we should, if we do our job, and that's season number two. And then season number three was the back end of our schedule, which was loaded with some monsters to get ready for this run. And then, we started up with the playoffs, and I told them this, yesterday, like, we're in a new season now. This is everybody 0-0, and the nerves are real for everybody. The excitement's real for everybody, and the teams that can be themselves and be the most normal, that's the team that's going to usually win. Nerves are a real thing out there. Like I said, I was there a few years back and I wasn't prepared for it as a coach. I had never been. I wasn't prepared for the environment. So we've done a lot to try to get our team ready for it. My assistant coach, who is really just, her and I are in it side by side. Cam Goodman, she's won several state championships at John Curtis. She brought some of her rings tonight to show the girls, what we're playing for and what's out there. And she's been great at just kind of getting them to understand what to expect. What's the environment going to look like? What do you need to do the morning of? What do you need to do to be prepared and to be at your best? And I told her at the beginning of the week, she's going to earn her money this week because I have to lean on her. She has way more experience there than I do. And, I trust her 100% with everything, and the girls do too. So, having somebody like that, even though we're a first time team going, we have somebody there that can kind of help prepare these kids for what they're going to expect and how to win this thing. She's done it. So how do you win it? What do you need to do? And it's a real blessing to have her. I'm as a head coach, I usually, you get all the praise and all the credit and all of that stuff, but I'm telling you, her and I do this thing side by side, and I wouldn't want to do this or be in this fight with anybody else but her. So she's been a big part of getting us prepared for this week.
Look, that is such an invaluable resource there to have that, and it seems like she's not opposed to giving you a little grief when she needs to either. So
No, she's not afraid to give me any or an umpire some if she needs to. But she just graduated from Southeastern just a couple years ago, and so she's really close in age with these kids, and she can relate to these girls, and she's able to push them in ways that maybe I can't,
right,
and so she's the one who sets our standards and holds these girls accountable to the standards of our program, and she can do it, like I said, in ways that I can't. If I force them to run or do something extra because the standards aren't being kept, it's different than when Coach Cam does it,
right,
so having her there and having all that experience that she has. I mean, she learned from one of the best in Coach Freeman.
yep.
She played at an extremely high level in high school at John Curtis. She's been there at every level. She's won at every level. And now as a coach, she's one of the best. I love having her. She's got great insight in the game. Like, her and I, we laugh a lot. We go play these big teams that's got 6 or 8 coaches on the staff, and it's just her and I there, and we just think it's hilarious and we love it. That's the way we do it. So we're in the fight together, and in game, she does a great job picking things up and giving some instruction to the girls during the game. She handles all of our team huddles between innings, all that kind of stuff, and she just does a fantastic job. I really appreciate all she does.
Well, I absolutely love that. Coach, one thing we appreciate is you taking time out to visit with us tonight. That's oh look, and you're getting to her a little bit. That's good stuff, sir. And that's what we love about it. I think you saw some of the comments and those folks. The community is showing out tonight. They're supporting their Tigers. There's no doubt about that. Coach, I can only imagine what it's going to look like tomorrow morning on the send off. What time do you guys head out?
So we're meeting for 10 in the morning in the gym at school, and we're gonna we've got a little video we need to make for all these sponsors and all these people who've helped and done so much to make this thing happen. It's not just a logistical mess, it's a financial burden to get out there too, and it's on us. And so we've reached out to the community, and they responded. I mean, we didn't have to really ask, it was already there.
Right.
They've come out in droves, and I think we're gonna have a really big crowd out there tomorrow when we leave. But the bus should be pulling off about 11 o'clock. The girls are gonna walk through school about 10:30, 10:40, something like that, and just kind of get to the bus. We got police escorts waiting. We've got politicians waiting to take some pictures with us and all of
Of
that
course.
stuff. And everybody just, I told the girls today, I think everybody just at some point you see greatness and you want to touch a little, you want to have a little piece of that. And I
That's
think
right.
that they see that with this group. This team has carried themselves in a really fantastic way. They've represented the school really well. They've represented themselves and their families. They do a great job in the classroom, and then they get out on the field and they do it there as well. So I mean, I'm so proud of them, and really excited for them to have that moment tomorrow morning when we leave. And then, once we get on the bus, like, they can be rock stars and superstars tomorrow until we get on that bus. And then once we get on the bus, I know they're going to lock in, and we've got a good plan. And everything's been about Vanderbilt. We're not worried about the other side of the bracket. It is
Right.
what it is. We get there, and it is what it is. If we're fortunate enough to get through Vanderbilt, we'll deal with preparing for the next team. There's a huge challenge to deal with Vanderbilt. There's some, that's a giant of
They are who
Louisiana
they are.
softball.
That's
They're
right.
a giant in Louisiana, and they've got the most state championships, the most appearances. So we're just going there we're going to give it everything we have, and we pack 2 uniforms, that's for sure. We plan on giving it everything we've got, and we like our chances. Yep.
Why not y'all?
Why not us? Why not us? Yep.
There you
And
go.
like, I got a shirt for you, man. We got to meet up. I'll get it to you. I got a hat and a shirt for you.
100%, Coach. Thank you very much. We're going to let you get out of here. Looking forward to talking to you should things go how you want them to Saturday. But it's all about Saturday. Sunday doesn't matter without
That's
Saturday.
right. That's
Coach
right.
Rain, we appreciate you. Patrick Taylor in the house. Good luck to you guys.
Hey, thank you, Doug. I appreciate all you do, man. It's been a lot of fun this season. I appreciate you. I'd love to be talking with you Saturday night or sometime Sunday, buddy. Take it easy, man.
100%, my friend. We'll talk.
All
We'll
right.
talk to you then. Good luck, and y'all be safe traveling.
All right, man. Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Tremendous job out there. And don't forget to join us tomorrow night. We told you we would be in depth. We're going to have more coaches on. We're going to have some players, but that's going to do it for us tonight. I'm going to let our Dash for Frasch singers take us out of here. Guys, it's been my pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, yeah. Dust on the cleats, sun sinking low. Scoreboard buzzing, the outfield glows. Truck beds lying down the third base line. Friday night feel in a softball town. Mama's got a chair and a cooler packed. Daddy's talking ball in a baseball cap. Small town dreams under Friday lights. Every swing could change a life. You can feel it coming in the summer air. Whispers rolling everywhere. It's the Dash for Fresh. Hear the crowd get loud. Small town diamonds make Louisiana proud. From the north to the coast, every back cracks fast. 4, 4, 6. It's the Dash for Fresh.